I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. Oops, the podcast. Giulio, joined by Ryan, is very polite. Lynch.
Hello, everybody.
We're out here. We're doing it, living it up, rock and rolling.
Dude, on my way over here today, I was riding a bike and I saw a police car pulled over, and an officer was giving somebody a ticket for driving a moped without a license plate.
Wow.
And it made me very happy.
Yeah, I love that.
That made me very happy because I thought these people are just getting away with it.
Dude, the people on two wheels, people on less than four wheels have been getting a free ride for far too long as far as not having to abide by the law. We love to see this. I hate seeing a biker going in the wrong direction. I hate a whizzing, unregistered moped. Dude, the boys were both in LA recently. We had nice little California trips. It had been a while since I had done a sort of California deep dive like that. I did some spots. I did the Comedy Store. Shout out to Lenny Penny, her Yearlywood show. That was very fun. I did my one-nighter in Pasadena. Stayed at a friend's house. Had a great time. That's kind of that, bro. How was your trip?
Nice, dude. It was good. I went to the store as well.
Nice.
I haven't been there before. We have one of Vic's friends is like a bodyguard / does some 5-minute sets a couple times a week there.
Oh yeah, that's sort of how they do it.
Yeah, so he kind of gave us like the backstage tour.
Cool.
Showed us everything, and it was good. We went on a Tuesday night. We saw like a 9:00 show. It wwent till 12. We stayed till 11.
Was it original room?
Yeah, and I have a new favorite guy now.
Oh, yeah?
I just became obsessed with him.
Ew.
While I'm cooking, I'm listening to him. While I'm sending emails, I'm listening to him. Fahim Anwar.
Oh yeah, I know Fahim.
Oh my God, dude.
he
Made me
ripped it.
giddy. I mean, this guy, if you go to his YouTube, like he's constantly posting this series called Fahim Works on Stuff. And it's just him with a piece of paper testing out bits, not even fully committing to them, but he's such a pro, obviously. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
And his act outs are so funny. And I just love his style of comedy.
Yeah.
So I've been like stalking him.
That's great. We should try to get him on the show.
And consuming like crazy the last couple of weeks. So
He comes to New York. He's a solid dude. We should try to get him on the pod.
yeah,
It'd be a nice moment.
yeah, he's sick. Well, if he does come on the pod, I don't know if I'm going to say any of what I just said right now because I wouldn't know how to behave. I got to work on that. I got to work on how to behave.
Dude, hey, it's all right, bro. You know, Ryan is really polite. As long as the behavior is in line with your mission statement, then it should be all good. Sounds like.
Yeah, but that was good. We were in LA just for like a night, and then we went to Santa Barbara. And there were 4 of us sharing a hotel room. So it was me, Vic, my childhood friend Andrew, and then his childhood friend, who has later become me and Vic's friend in New York, Taylor.
So they're not dating?
They're not dating. My friend is.
Are they both men?
No, Taylor's a girl. Okay. My friend Andrew, he is so gay that you would think he's faking it. Like he's gay. So they shared a bed. Me and Vic shared a bed.
And they are friends also?
They're childhood friends as well. But I never knew her until he introduced us to each other a couple years ago. She lives down the street from us. So we actually are friends with her and her boyfriend. So that's how we got to this. Travels a ton for work, and he texted us and he's like, "Hey guys, I'll pay for the hotel room. I'll pay for the rental car. Just get tickets and let's go meet in Cali." So
and go to Santa Barbara.
Yeah,
sick. Dude.
So I met up with him, and I will say, sharing a bedroom with 2 other people, as you would know,
3 other.
Well, yeah, 2 other people though that I don't know. 1 bathroom. What would you do if you were in that circumstance?
Man. Honestly, I would potentially just try to avoid that scenario in general.
Yeah.
But I get that it depends. Like if it were some spicy offer like that and there was, a promise of, all these great perks and that's sort of the one concession and I got to go to whatever your equivalent of going to Santa Barbara would be, someplace that would like really excite me. And it might be Santa Barbara, although I also maybe would be like, maybe I'll get to go to Santa Barbara another time. Maybe I'll wait. But regardless, fun summer activity, subsidized. So I might do it and then just try to deal with it. However, I might do a scout real quick to see if there was any other bathrooms. And of course I would shower and stuff in that bathroom, I guess, but would hope that there'd be like an Equinox nearby that I could go to, but otherwise just use the bathroom.
Yeah.
And try my best to not be gross.
Yeah. That's what I was getting at, was the bathroom thing. Yeah. Santa Barbara, we could have gone anywhere. It was just a place for us to meet because he lives in Seattle. But I would go to the lobby bathroom anytime I needed to go to the restroom. 100%. Just something about, two strangers, I already kind of have a semblance of you and Hill Dog's situation in terms of bathroom etiquette and wanting to keep things private.
Yeah, Hill Dog and I have our own bathrooms is what he is referring to.
Yeah, so I kind of took a note from your book, and anytime I had to use the restroom, I just like went downstairs.
Solid.
And it was great. Good trip. Great trip.
Was sleeping in the same room fine and normal?
Super normal.
Not a big deal.
No issues. My friend Andrew, he doesn't do drugs. He doesn't drink. He really has no vice. And he has more energy that I've ever experienced with another person, so much so that like it drains you, his energy. He's very high energy. He wakes up at like 5, 6 a.m. Pacific time, local time, whatever you are. He wakes up around 5 and he's ready to go. And so he's kind of like antsy and pacing around.
I admire that.
And our friend, and I'm not comfortable confronting him and telling him to like, please don't. But Taylor, she would say, Andrew, if you wake up and you're ready to go, we're still sleeping for like a handful more hours. So leave the room. And so he did that.
Nice.
And it was great. It was a good time. It was nice.
Good on her for feeling comfortable enough to mandate that, even though he was the one providing the room. Because there is a world where the person who has the room just does whatever they want because they know that they provided the room. But I'm glad that he didn't take advantage of his power.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a 5 a.m. wake up, that would have been a lot.
It's early.
And we were going to bed early, and it was fantastic. And I love the guy. I love him. He is a character, though. I enjoy hanging out with him. So we did that.
What did you do in Santa Barbara?
What did we do in Santa Barbara? We went to a winery.
Fun.
That was a fun afternoon. We went to the beach. Victoria and Andrew went to go parasailing.
Wow.
One day. Just super laid back.
Fits right in with Andrew's personality.
Yeah, leisure activities. And unfortunately for them, the clouds were a little too foggy and the winds were picking up too much, where after they let them off 100 feet into the air, they had to bring them back.
Was it scary?
For them, I didn't do it.
But were they scared?
They were both scared. You know, it goes up to like 1,000 feet into the sky.
Jesus.
So I mean,
it's a dangerous activity, they say.
Yeah, it is. And so that's why they pulled them in, even though there was just a little bit of cloudage.
Were you hesitant about allowing her to do that? Not that you can make that call for her, but was part of you like, are you sure you want to do that?
No. And if something happened, then I'd play with that reality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was like, if you want to do that, but I'm not doing it. And it was more so because I didn't want to spend $150 for like 30 minutes of an excursion. I want to sit on the beach and read my book.
Totally.
So it was good. It was good. Good restaurants. Very tame, very calm. Took the red eye back. Me and Vic, she had the middle seat. I had the aisle seat. And then we had this woman next to us on the window. And I was nervous because Victoria fell asleep and I was falling asleep as to whether or not, if this woman had to go to the restroom, how she would play that out. And I felt bad for her because I don't know how I would go about that. I don't know how I would try to get a hold of two people that are in my way that are asleep. And Vic was like sleeping on the tray table. And I have all my laptops plugged in. Like this woman, like...
There's no world for her to even hop over you in that one.
Yeah, so I felt really bad. And
did you sleep?
It kind of prevented me from fully committing to falling asleep, but I slept pretty much the whole flight with an occasional eye open and check. And she was out too, so I don't think I saw her eyes once.
The thing that sucks about that flight is that even if you sit down in your seat before you take off and sleep for the entire time, it's still just not enough sleep.
Yeah.
And I have never done that flight and not felt completely fucking rocked the next day.
Yeah.
But I get that it's an efficient use of time, but what always ends up happening to me is like I get home and need to sleep more, or if I can't sleep, my day is a wash. So I prefer the like 11 a.m. flight that gets in at midnight from like LA to New York. But there is no best flight back from the West Coast to the East Coast because of the time challenges.
Yeah, there isn't. We had in Victoria bought tickets to a food festival that Sunday. So we get in at 7 a.m. We go back. We're back home around like 8. And we're sleeping for a couple of hours, just a couple of hours. And I was really like grumpy about going to the food festival, but all of her friends were going. And I go and I'm like mad at her. But I also had, I had to get up because otherwise I would have rolled into my Monday. And I was just in a bad mood at her. Not necessarily mad at her, but I was in a bad mood at her. Mm-hmm. And she was trying to like pretend like we're having fun. Have 2 hours. And I looked at her, I said, hey, I love you, but don't talk to me for a little bit. And I think that's a healthy way to communicate. Yeah. Because I'm like, hey, I love you, but I really don't want to like be around you right now.
I can't explain my mood.
You have too much pep in your step, and I love you, and you're not doing anything wrong, but I'm gonna blow up if you keep like pushing me.
And you had agreed to do this already.
She already bought me a ticket, and I never said no, I'm not doing it, but she knew I didn't want to go. And we also were under the impression that these tickets were for 6 p.m. And then she wakes me up and she's like, we have to go now. The tickets are actually for noon. And that's where...
And you found that out?
I found that out when I woke up after only 2 hours of extra sleep. So that's why
I
was
So you thought
grumpy.
It was 6 p.m. until you woke up? Yeah.
So I already didn't want to go. And the fact that we went 6 hours earlier or whatever, I was very grumpy at her.
Did you ever snap out of it?
I kind of held on to it like a manipulative power for a little bit. I think I was over it at one point, but I was like, this is so not cool. I can't just like, I don't know. I was like, I can't just give you like happy Jolly Ryan again. I was like,
Did she want to go too? Or was it like, because she had bought them, she wanted to go? Like, did any part of, was she like ready?
She was ready. She's like, we have to go.
Felt good.
She's like, all the friends, they're all waiting in line. We have to go now. And so I was very.
Were the tickets expensive?
I don't remember. She paid for them. But I was very grumpy at her. And so I'm working on how to deal with my emotions like that. But I thought that was healthy. I love you.
Understandable.
I love you. I'm not going to snap, but get away from me. Right?
Yeah.
Do you ever like need a moment? Do you ever say something like that?
Not specifically, but she's more likely to sort of feel something like that than I am, I think. But yes, sometimes I'm like, I'm just not in a good mood.
Yeah.
And, in that specific situation, it was her fault. So therefore, you're being a good sport. You agreed to go, even though the timing was different than you thought, which, you could have fully held against her. So I think you played it maturely and, you sort of took the L on the chin, but gave her the benefit of the doubt because she's your girl. And I respect that reaction.
Yeah. Thank you. They did this thing where like every hour there was like a free giveaway at this food festival.
Where was the food festival?
It was right across the street from the Williamsburg Hotel.
Okay.
Right across the street from your screening that you did last year.
So was it like, the watermelon stand and gyros or whatever? And like, what was the food festival like?
It was some influencer on Instagram. He compiled all of like his biggest videos vendors. So cool. They all came and they all had little spots set up. So it was good food, but I also was cranky because it was very hot out. It was terribly organized where they let so many people in that it was just like you're just like a bunch of chickens in a coop. And then like there was no like, you walk in there and there's an entire square of tents of food. But there isn't any signage that says like, hey, let's go in this direction.
Oh, God.
It wasn't like, let's go in a clockwise direction around so that everything's more organized and so people aren't bashing against each other. But it was as if the directions were to say go counter and clockwise. And so it was chaos.
Were you able to get anything?
I got, I think 6 dumplings for like $16. I mean, what do you expect? What do you expect? We got like I got one like little dot of caviar, whoop-de-doo. And every hour they were like doing these giveaways. And I was this time I was grumpy and they were like, free cookies. Everyone come up and get your free cookies. And I was like, I'm not doing it. And then I saw someone open up a cookie and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go get a cookie. And so I make my way over and they're handing them out to everybody and they're handing them out to everybody. And then I get up there and they're like, we're out of cookies. And I like want to, I want to blow up.
Well, so could you have just infiltrated the event without the ticket in theory, or did
No, they had crazy security.
you were wearing things?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And there was also security.
They had crazy security. Yeah. But yeah, so that was me trying to be mature in this relationship and trying to communicate instead of being passive aggressive. Because I've done that. I've been that where I've like been grumpy and I've decided to be grumpy and there's nothing that's going to change that. And I thought that this was a much better way to go about it, where I'm just let's not talk for a little bit and then we'll be great later. And then the rest of the day was great.
Yeah. Look, I think you were right to be upset about this though. Like,
Yeah.
Especially with the 6 p.m. expectation. This is not what you signed up for.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I huff and puff. So like I was like, let me try to be a little more mature about this and just
do not blow the house down.
because I gave her a gentle touch. I was like, I love you.
Oh,
Get
nice,
away
Lynch.
from me.
That's
Get away from me.
I love you, but be gone.
Go away.
Be
Go
gone,
away.
Wannabe.
Yeah.
Well,
So
very nice.
any other highlights from California for you?
Yeah, I did some good stuff. A couple of cool things. So first of all, shout out to Mane and Ani, who are sort of long time Oops Familia. They've been supportive and come to shows. They were at, Ani could not make it, but Mane was there, came to my show in Pasadena, which was a great show. Thank you for everybody for coming out. It's fun. I've been working on my new stuff and it's going well and I've been enjoying it. So that show was great, but she sort of planned this really fun outing for everybody after the show. And a couple of her friends, my friends, like people all went, and we went to Glendale, which is sort of like I don't want to say historically, but it's a part of LA where like a ton of Armenian people live. Shout out to Victoria. And also Mane and Ani hail from the motherland as well, originally. And anyway, it's not an area that you might typically find yourself hanging out in LA, but I think that she knew that this would be something that I would like. So we went to this like hookah bar with great drinks where there was also like a belly dancer. And it was just super fun. It was like a unique, fun activity. So I had fun doing that. I also was able to finagle a great housing situation for myself. The first night I was there, I got myself a hotel, and then my friends were going out of town and they just let me house sit for them, which was incredible.
That's a great way to label like crashing at their place. Like you're doing them the favor.
Correct. No, I didn't want, so I was going to say like there was no favor being done to them, but I held down the fort and, I made sure I took care of them. I filled the fridge up with some good shit, made it look good. Did whatever it was I had to do. And, it was sick to have a pad. The one thing, and this was the L that I took on the trip. So I was staying in Marina del Rey. If you guys know LA, like the West Side is kind of far away from other stuff in LA. So there's always this joke that people who live out there don't go to West Hollywood or they don't go anywhere else. They stay near the beach. It's its own little enclave. So where I was staying is like not only in my mind, I'm like, oh, Beverly Hills is west too. This is west. I have a meeting there. I'll be able to get there easily, but it's also north. It's not close at all. So like Marina del Rey, which is like south of Santa Monica, like not close to stuff. So first day I was like taking $45 Ubers to get to Beverly Hills, like each way. So I'm like, this is not going to make sense over a week. So I need to try to rent a car. Now I found a little bit of a hack here. And it's at least something worth examining, which is that when you rent a car in a place, a lot of the time doing it at the airport is by far the cheapest option, but it depends where you are. In some places it's not. Now the airport can be nice because it's convenient with pickup and drop off times. They're usually 24 hours. You don't have to think about that. And sometimes some of these non-airport locations have more specific windows that they're open. It might be like 9 to 2 or like 8 to 4, and they might not be open on the weekend, so it can limit you. But if you can figure out a way to make it work, it's at least worth examining what the options are because sometimes it will be much less expensive. So I looked because I thought I knew how much it was because I looked at the airport and I was like, oh, that's going to be the cheapest. But then I found at the Hertz in Marina del Rey, it was this great deal. And I'm like, oh, this is incredible. I'm renting a car. So put it in, no problem. Show up the next day to rent the car. And this is another reason that I found out that renting from the non-airport location can screw you. I get there and I'm like, hey, I have a reservation. I put my thing down. And the guy's like, oh yeah, I tried to call you. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we don't have any cars. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have any cars? I booked it already. He goes, I know, but like the website doesn't know about our inventory. So they don't know that they wouldn't know that I don't have any cars, but I don't have any cars. I don't know why it's set up that way.
That's only super important.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, I rented a car, so I'm going to just, can you figure it out? And he's like, dude, I told you I don't have any cars. And then he starts sharing a little more info, which gave me some ammo. He's like, the only other cars are people who reserved the cars like a long time ago. And I'm like, but I'm the one who's standing here, right? So don't I get it since I'm here? He's like, well, they already reserved it a while ago. I'm like, okay, but you just made that up. There's no order thing. That's not a thing. Like the inventory doesn't go to who booked it longest time ago because you're not going to have enough cars. Everybody just always assumes that you will have enough cars because I booked the car and you've existed for a while, right? So I should get one of those. He's like, well, no, that's not how it works. And I'm like, okay, well, you're open for another hour and a half. I was like, I'm going to call Hertz right now and stand here. And, you're just going to have to deal with me. And he was like, all right, fine, dude. He like wasn't giving me, so we were kind of going at it. I'm maybe being a little dramatic at this point, but this is fucking annoying. I reserved a car and need a car and I'm here waiting for the car and there's no car. So how does that make sense? So 10 minutes into, no, probably even less, maybe 2 minutes into just standing there waiting on hold. And then I'm like, dude, look, I'm sorry for busting your balls. I just fucking want a car. I'm frustrated. He's like, I get it. Like whatever. So we're kind of starting to turn the corner. And then he's like, well, I have an electric car. I'm like, you weren't just going to tell me that? Like, why wouldn't you mention that initially? This would have saved us. We would have never escalated as hard as we did if you just told me that. I don't want an electric car, but I'll take one. He goes, it only has a 20% charge too. I'm like, okay, well, that's annoying, but still 20%. Like, I'm sure that can get me through the day and I'll figure out how to use the charging station. So I'm like, all right, dude, deal. He goes, okay. So I take the electric car. Now, renting an electric car, especially in a place where there's a lot of electric cars. I can't speak to a place where there are not as many electric cars, but it was a fucking disaster. And I do not.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the opposite.
No, I do not recommend it. And here's why. There are only so many charging stations and it takes a fucking long time to charge your car. Now, the reason why you can make the Tesla and the other electric cars have different charging plugs. So there's specific Tesla stations and there's specific stations for the other ones. Now, most people just charge cars in their garage. You have it, you plug it in, it charges overnight, whatever, and you have a full charge the next day. And that system can theoretically make sense. Okay, great. But if you have to charge on the fly, like I did in LA, good luck, dude. First of all the different charging locations, you need to like learn which specific ones to look for because you might see one and then you show up and there's no charging place. And it might be like in a private garage that you don't have access to. So I probably drove around to 4 different places where there was just no charger. And if there was, I couldn't find it. Then I finally found like the supercharger. Dude, there's a line to use it. And it's not like getting gas because it takes an hour for a fast charge to fully charge your fucking car. So if you're showing up at any normal time, there's cars there. And dude, I even went at like 1 o'clock in the morning once and I'm still waiting in line. So you're waiting 25 minutes in line and then you're waiting an hour for your fucking stupid car to charge. It's a complete disaster. Complete waste of time, complete disaster. I get it's good for the environment. Maybe it's great to own one, but if you're going on a 3 or 4 day trip, I do not recommend renting it. Now, maybe in Columbus, Ohio, it's a different story because maybe nobody has electric cars and therefore there's no line at the electric station, which makes it easier. Is there an abundance of charging stations? I don't know. If there is not an abundance of charging stations, does that mean that the same problem just happens because there are less cars, but there's less stations and therefore you're waiting in line again and it takes an hour? Again, I don't know, but it's very clear to me that renting an electric car is just simply not the fucking move unless you're not planning to go further than a full charge.
Yep. That's what I was just thinking about because if it's in like you live in the suburbs, that's solid. You have your garage, you park it, you run your errands, you're casual. Your occasional 30-minute trip to the mall, maybe it works for that day in the life stuff. But like, yeah, if you're traveling, even when I was going with Francis to a couple shows, he had a Tesla, and we would go from New York to Philly or New York to Delaware if we were shooting some content or something, and we'd have to stop like 1 or 2 times. And if you were you could fully charge it if you wait like an hour or so, yeah. But you don't have that time. Dude, so then you break it up into like bummer. 3 little mini 20, 25 minute stops, and you're kind of just like trapped, and you're driving by all these gas stations, and then you're like, okay, the touchscreen's cool.
Yeah.
But damn,
yeah, dude.
I'm like trapped here. And you said to sit.
Yeah.
And we had the same thing too. We pulled into some driveway. We thought it was like a Tesla
Yeah.
parking lot, and it was like a private, like,
Yeah, dude.
I don't know, like auto shop, and they were like, no.
There's a pretty steep learning curve. And I'm sure as you had one, you might know the good station with the this and the that. But like, if you're just going in blind, like it takes a little bit of learning the lay of the land and it's not worth it. The only other time that I rented a Tesla, I made the mistake of doing the manager special when I rented because it's less expensive. They just give you whatever car they want. And now that electric vehicles have become more pervasive, they may give you an electric car. So they gave me an electric car when I went to Fire Island for the day. But I didn't need, and they let you return it with like a 35% charge. And I was able to easily do that. So I never had to like think about charging it. The only other thing is that driving an electric car is a little bit different. So like when you take your foot off the gas, it brakes.
I've never driven one.
And I don't know if the gas is the proper term anymore since there's no gas, but let's just call it that. The gas pedal, the electric car pedal, once you take your foot off it, whereas in a normal car, you actually have to brake to brake. Once you take your foot off that pedal, it brakes. It doesn't heavy brake, but it brakes. Enough that once you get used to it, if there's a stop sign, you know how far away to take your foot off the pedal to allow it to like kind of coast to the stop sign perfectly. You get that feel down eventually. And I think that by doing it that way, you actually maintain more charge because it kind of like softly charges it the slightest bit.
Is there still a brake?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you do need it. I mean, it's not enough to like stop abruptly if you needed to. So dude, when I was going, so now as you all know, I have this annoying neck thing, which by the way has improved quite a bit. And I might not have made this choice if I was feeling the way that I do now, but it was fresh still. Like I still was in a lot of pain. Lifting anything with my left hand was not going to work. So I went against my typical protocol and I took an Uber to the airport. Now it was still just it was a price that was just a little too high for me to stomach. So I took an Uber pool. Now I'm perfectly for Uber pools. It's rare that I've had a bad experience. Sometimes you get a little surprise. Like there's been a time where there was someone crying and I comforted them. And I was like, oh man, like this person probably thinks that we're going to end up dating, but I'm in a relationship. I didn't have to share that, but there was a chance that I could be like, can I have your number?
That's intimate. Okay.
Maybe they were in a relationship too. But anyway, so I've had things like that happen, or like getting into weird conversations with people who start talking about the border, which is just really a trigger point for me. I don't like talking about the border with strangers. Even though this woman's whole family worked at the border and actually had a much more legitimate reason to be talking about the border than a person who lives in New York. I get someone might be like, there's so many migrants here. Okay, fine. But like the border to me is just like, typically the person talking about that is a person who's like values I don't align with. Anyway, whatever. But that the person who I had the border Uber pool convo with was perfectly nice, but it was just kind of like interesting. But my Uber pool companion for this ride was not the ideal Uber pool companion. So first of all, it was early in the morning, so I didn't see that there was a person in the car, and it didn't say, you'll be riding with so-and-so. I just walk up to the car, and I open the door, and there's a person leaning against the window who almost fell out of the car because they were asleep, which is fine. But like, I was like, I'm sorry. By the time I walk around to get in on my side, that person is not only back asleep, they are inside their clothes sleeping. So they have a hoodie on that they have gone inside of, beyond just putting the hood over their face. They are in the sweatshirt with the hood reinforcing the darkness. Their pants are basically off their butt. Red pants, which sometimes can add some sort of affiliation to whoever it is. I can't tell anything about the person other than the outfit. I can't see any article of any part of their body. And this person is just like against the window, asleep. And I'm sort of like, I just kind of hope this person stays asleep because for whatever reason, this is just giving, as Lynch would say, a person that when they wake up might be a problem. You know, just no, for no reason other than this person is inside all of their clothes. I'm not doing any sort of profiling here other than that. This person, their butt is almost on the floor of the back of the car. That's how slouched they are. They're in their clothes. And there's always these moments where I think they're about to wake up and then they don't. I'm like, thank God. And they got dropped off at a self-storage facility.
People live in those.
At 6:30 in the morning, dude. What are you doing at the self-storage facility at 6:30 in the morning? It was all sus. And I was like, it was a little too much excitement for this early in the morning. But that's what I get for fucking being a cheapskate.
Damn, do you see his face or like anything? Did he look at you or he just wanted to get out?
It was a woman.
Okay. Sorry for me to assume, yeah.
No, I know, but there you go. I had no idea. But anyway, still, like, I don't take back any of my suspicion.
Yeah.
Now, there's no need to be judging a person until they're sitting right next to you. And then, you start playing out what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And who knows what they're doing at the self-storage facility at 6:30 a.m., but good luck to them. But my day immediately turned around. It went from that experience to I got upgraded to Delta One on both ways, which was unbelievable. So the way back, I was able to use my upgrade certificate, which I have a couple of. But on the way there, you never get upgraded to LA because there's usually big swinging dicks on that flight. People who are doing the New York to LA flight have status, and you find yourself in a sea of diamond members, so you just never get it. I've never gotten upgraded on that flight. So night before, I'm looking. There's 18 Delta One seats open on my flight. I'm like, I got to have a shot. I start at number 4. I go down to number 7. I go down to number 9. I go down to number 10. I start screenshotting that and sending it around. Send it to my other friends who like either have good status. And they're all kind of like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's early in the game still. Who knows? Like, people might end up buying a couple of those flights because last minute. And then before you know it, you're squeezed out. And I'm like, fuck, that's true. I wake up and look at my seat assignment, 2B.
Wow.
I'm in. And on that long flight, you get the lay down situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what better for the guy with the fucked up neck where sitting completely upright totally hurts it, but slouching makes you feel completely fine? Dude, it was like one of the greatest gifts from God. If I wasn't religious before, then I am now, dude.
Yeah. What do they serve you?
I don't remember.
Oh, what a privilege to not get to remember what you were served.
I think I ate it. I don't think it was anything special, to be honest.
Okay.
It was like eggs, but like I had already eaten breakfast. Actually, I think I did not eat breakfast in the Delta One lounge because I knew there was going to be breakfast on the flight, but I was trying to like wait a while to try to get on the West Coast time or whatever. That doesn't make sense. I forget why I waited. I think I was just trying to not be a fat fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dude, it was great. And the Delta One lounge, up until that day, I thought that you could only go in if you had paid for a first class seat. I didn't realize you could get it if you've been upgraded. And it is the best lounge that exists. Period. Like, I've never been in a better one.
Is this at LaGuardia?
This is at JFK.
Is that JFK?
Yeah. And dude, like, there's a full restaurant in it where you can order from the waiter, but you don't have to pay.
Mm.
It's crazy. Like, you could have a wedding in that place, dude. It's huge. There's like a full like wellness and massage area where like you can fucking get like, dude, there's so much stuff. And I didn't have that much time. So I tried my best to like see everything. And like, I know I'm being like a nerd about it, but dude, it was so fucking sick. So that was
literally a kid in a candy shop.
It was such a fucking sick experience. So
That's
fun.
awesome.
But all in all, man, I really spent some good time in LA in my life, and I haven't been as keen on it lately, but it was nice to kind of get back in there, hang out with some friends, like be there for a while. I was there for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 nights, get my feet wet, catch up with people and do the whole LA thing, having meetings that typically don't go anywhere, but sometimes do.
Mm-hmm.
And just fucking catch up and hang, dude. It's pretty sick. I heard kind of a crazy acting story, which upset me. This guy I know, I don't want to reveal too much, but he dates somebody who's involved in the behind the scenes stuff with movies.
Cool.
And he said that he has overheard some infuriating conversations. Now, this guy does a bunch of acting. I've done a bunch of acting. So like hearing this was unsettling, but this is basically what the conversation was. They were thinking about casting somebody for this part, and they would play opposite the main character in the show. Okay. And this is the literal conversation. They're like, this person who they were going to maybe cast to be opposite of the lead, they're amazing. By far the best. They were so unbelievably incredible. But are they too good? Will they know not to steal the scene from the main person? Will they know that if they are as good as they are, that maybe that will actually be bad for the scene because we need the main person to shine in this scene and we can't have this person stealing the show? And then they end up not casting them because of that. And they don't ever tell them either. They don't tell you you were unbelievable. You know how far that goes for an actor who knows what they're working a side job that maybe hurts their confidence, that they don't want to be doing. and they don't end up getting the part. As usual, you know, you typically are not booking stuff when you're acting. It's a little bit of a numbers game, even when you're really good, because you might not be right for the part. And here they are going about their day, doing their job they don't feel like doing, and they have no idea that they were so good that they couldn't even be cast. As infuriating as that would be better than just not getting in and not knowing.
Yeah.
That is, and he's like, dude, I wanted to fucking, I'm like, dude, I'm sure that is one of the worst things I've ever heard for acting.
That's so sad.
That's tough, dude.
It makes me think of a couple scenes from La La Land. I mean, you've gone to auditions and things like that, so you've seen that.
I think in La La Land they do it in like the trailer too, right? It's in like,
I forget. I haven't seen it since the first time I saw it. It's 8 years old now, which is just insane. But I remember Emma Stone is in the middle of this like amazing monologue and she's killing it, and then she wipes the tear, and then the casting director is like, actually, sorry, I got a call.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like, the drop the donuts off in here.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, you're good, and then she doesn't get it.
It's tough.
I hope that person is getting work.
I hope they
already.
I hope all their dreams come true, whatever they are. But yeah, dude, it's funny. Like these days, auditioning has been a lot more remote. Like a lot of self-tape auditions, which I'm not personally a fan of. I know that if you net out the time it takes to physically go to the casting office, do the audition, and go home, that may end up taking a little bit longer than filming a self-tape. But there's something about filming a self-tape that it feels heavier and more difficult. Where like you're setting everything up, you have to keep checking to make sure it's all right. Like you're worrying about 7 other things besides just trying to do the scene. And then you have to get a person to read it with you. And like, there's just all this other, and suddenly you're making a short film.
Yeah.
I had an audition, and it's one thing if it's for something good, if it's for like a show or a movie or whatever. Like I had an audition for a commercial the other day where I had to do 7 takes and include them all. So first one is me saying my name and how old I am and whatever. And then stepping back so you can see my entire body. Okay, doing that. Then doing 2 takes of 3 different scenes. And one of the scenes required resetting up the shot. So before you know it, I'm just shooting a film for these people. And I'm probably not even gonna get it. I won't even get a call back. Fucking drives me crazy. And they're trying to do like stuff with the SAG and the unions to like prevent how much people can ask for. But I still think we're in this world where like you're either gonna have to get used to doing the self-tape or not.
Yeah.
But I can tolerate it much more if it's for something I'm pumped about. But the whole idea about commercials that makes them so great is low effort for high reward. That's the whole pitch. So if suddenly it starts feeling like my effort level is going way up and I'm still getting the same percentage of them as I was before, my hourly wage is going down because I'm spending so much time making them. Now, if you're going to do it from raw time, maybe it's around the same because like I said, I have to physically go to the audition and come home, but it still just feels way easier.
Mm-hmm. You take the feel factor into account on that.
Yeah. So some people prefer them. I do not. I hate them. But whatever.
Yeah, dude, they ask a lot of you.
They ask a lot of
you.
They
like in the corporate world, you're applying for jobs. They'll make you. I was talking to a friend on Saturday, and he was talking about like his job search process. He'll go through 4 rounds of interviews. He'll have to put together a presentation with an original idea on how to help the company solve one of their current problems.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, unfortunately, we decided to move on with a different candidate.
I know. And you've just given them
free work.
Yeah.
You just worked for free.
Agreed. That's fucked up.
And so, to make you set up your tripod and then deal with like you're filming during the day and the natural lighting that you have starts to fade away between the 2nd take and the 8th take. And then it doesn't look as good. And then you have to fix that because they'll dock points from you for that.
I didn't notice there was a bag of fucking garbage in the background. I now have to reshoot the entire thing. Or like sometimes this will happen. Like if you film it on your phone, and thank you, you helped me with this. So if you film it with your iPhone, it'll do this like weird effect to it automatically. I forget what it's called, but like it doesn't like upload properly into editing software.
Oh, you mean where it just makes your video look blue?
It makes it just look blown out. It makes it look like there's way too much light. And now you have to use lighting effects to try to get it to look passable. And then it just looks gray and weird. But Lynch told me that I should just film it on TikTok and use that to edit it, which is way better because it's smaller files and it's true to what you use. The only problem is that you can't use a microphone. If you plug your microphone into the camera, TikTok doesn't recognize it.
Interesting. I just filmed something yesterday where I bought a cheap version, the cheapest possible version of what you have. and it works right away. But I don't have a receiver. It's just the receiver is what you plug into the bottom.
Yeah.
And there's no buttons or any power up, and then I just have this tiny little microphone, but it tracks it right away. It was $6.
Oh, I need to get that.
I need to get what you have. We should just swap.
We should just borrow from each other.
Give me my $6 mic, and you can take mine. But yeah, dude, that is frustrating.
The one thing I'll say about the corporate thing that I think maybe makes it a little ultimately better is like there's a lot of sort of, you're not even applying for the specific job unless you like kind of really make sense for the role.
Yeah.
So you're immediately sort of in a smaller pool of people, maybe. I don't know. If you're just applying on monster.com or something, maybe it's a little bit different. But I know there's like a lot of LinkedIn stuff. And correct me if I'm wrong about this, because
you're
I
right.
could be.
So far, you're right.
But by the time you are making the business plan, there's only like 3 candidates. So like by the time you're doing like the heavy workload stuff, and I know that some jobs are like 5, 6, like insane interviews, and then you don't get it, and that's like fucked. So I don't know if there's any way to talk around that. But like, this is a first audition, and there's a lot of people submitting for it. Yeah. So like,
that's a big ask,
dude. It's terrible.
And just like what you said with like the effort, like some people like when they're applying for like corporate jobs or when they're posting a corporate job, they'll be like, well, please include a cover letter. It's optional. And then they'll only accept the people that include the cover letter because they went above and beyond. Yes. But that only limits the pool so much. So if they were to say like, hey, reset the scene, I'm sure there's tons of people that apply that don't even bother doing that. And they will just like throw them out right away. You need to do all of that, which takes a lot of effort. Yeah. You need to write the cover letter for the shitty job that you don't even want, only for them to look at it. Look at any part of your resume.
Yeah.
And so I bet you have to do all those things in order for them to even look through it. And you won't even know if they end up looking through it. I can't believe that woman or guy didn't get that job that you mentioned.
That sucks. Oh, yeah.
That you mentioned.
I thought you were talking about your friend, but both.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I really believe that being an actor in today's day and age today's day and age, I think I've invented, is a sucker's hustle. And I'll tell you why. So first of all, getting in something isn't the same as it used to be. Before there was only so many things. Now, like the content that people are consuming is much more fragmented. Before it's like, this is on TV, that's it. So if someone was on a TV show, you knew about them, that had to be helpful. Maybe not, but like, you know what I mean? Like there was just less stuff. So like if you made it, if you broke through, maybe that turns into a big breakthrough for you. The same isn't true today. If you're on some like ABC show, like I don't know anybody who watches that shit.
Yeah.
Before that was all there was to watch. So already there's a little bit of diminished value there. But if you don't have some sort of advantage going into the acting game to begin with, and there's a couple of different ones that you could have. If you don't have any of those, it's so tough. And there aren't a lot of stories about people who break through without it. So there's a couple of things. One is nepotism. You're from LA, your dad's a producer, your dad was in the business. Somebody you knew or related to is in the business. That's a leg up. You sort of know how to navigate, and you can kind of get in at a higher level other than just like convincing someone to blindly be submitting you for roles. So there's that. Second, being on the track young. So like you went to some feeder school like LaGuardia or you're near a big city and you were able to go and get yourself involved in acting from a young age, whether you're a child actor or not, like being a person who they're like, all right, who are the good young people? And there's an opportunity where like agents are looking at people for an opportunity to find the next person, as opposed to when the casting director gets paid $100 to go on a Tuesday night to watch people read monologues at the acting class at 1-in-1 in New York. And maybe they'll call you in for some absolutely terrible part that's going to get you nothing. It'll make you $1,500 and it doesn't get you to the next one. And, you're sold this dream that like anybody, maybe you can make it. Like so-and-so moved to LA and he started trying, and obviously that does happen, but you're just not in control of your destiny at all, dude. And especially if you just don't know anybody and you're the hottest guy in your high school from Nebraska and you move to LA and you have a dream and you want to make it, it's just so tough. And like, how could anyone ever make it big? And how do you ever escape the sort of like depending on other people, and your manager, who's kind of a ragtag manager, submitted you for a part And they're not even looking at those people for this part, but they let you submit anyway. Maybe they'll find a special guy, but you're just getting submitted for guy number 2 in Law and Order. And you get on TV and everyone in your family's excited. Oh, you got a Law and Order. They'll sit down and watch. Oh, you're really making it. You're making it. But what does that even mean? Like, that is an idea. Like, you are touching this abstract idea. And in reality, should you even be excited about it? I'm not going to sit here and tell people what to be excited about, but I know that doesn't excite me anymore. And I'll tell you what, it did. And that's why I'm pissed about this. I was one of those guys who I was too old. And I started, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And I started acting, and I started trying to monologues, and I met the manager, and I submitted, and I got some stuff. I got cast in a pilot as this Italian guy, and it was one episode, but I made a couple $1,000. Oh wow, And then I submitted for Fault in Our Stars, and they asked a question about me, and they liked me. I got close. Oh, did I really? Ansel Elgort played that part. Okay, I don't think I got close at all. They said they liked you a lot. Oh, really? They liked me? Oh, what did it ever lead to? Nothing. I'm good at it. Nothing. And the only way I've ever gotten stuff like that is because I was a comedian. And thank God that has been a thing that has become more and more popular, and you control your own destiny more. Even though the opportunities are still few and far between, you build your act, you have that, and then you become good enough to go on the road and sell tickets. No one can take that away from you. Yeah. So I'm grateful that I have that, because just depending on a call that may never come, you don't know who's calling you, you don't know what you even need to do. If you're valedictorian of your high school, your doors are open for you. You know, if I get good grades, I can go to Harvard. I can then get better jobs. It's straightforward. As an actor, it's got to be one of the hardest fucking things. And it's not even like, oh, I feel for you. I'm at a point where when I hear somebody tell me that, I'm like, oh, you're stupid. I was.
Yeah.
Is that cynical?
No, it's not cynical. But as the great, you mentioned like people not watching like an ABC show as much as what they would have done in the past. But as the great Fahim Anwar said, he said that this is a television. And so, true. If you're an actor, you make your TikToks.
He's right.
I'm pointing at a phone.
He's right. But it's a different thing. But he's right. Yeah, that like now gives you the power to make your own thing and get discovered.
Market yourself, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And will that turn into you getting in stuff? If you get 1 billion views, probably. But it's good to know that there's a workaround.
Mm-hmm. There's something
because
besides waiting for the call.
Yeah, submitting for the audition, doing the audition, thinking that's going to get you anywhere. I don't know, man. Especially in New York. In LA, at least there's like a bunch of people in the business, and like you meet enough people. Maybe you meet a guy, he puts you in something, like that can happen there, maybe. But like you still got to figure that out.
Yeah,
that turns into like its own little hustle where there's no clear path at all. You're not even building anything. Fucking tough, dude.
It's fun.
But look, so I don't know if that's some weird advice to all actors, but I would say it makes sense to write stuff for yourself, create stuff for yourself. Even if you're writing a show, writing or whatever, just create things as opposed to depending on being able to performing other people's things. So whether you're making content or you're, performing some sort of thing that you've written or writing scripts or writing TV shows or being a writer or whatever, like take your destiny into your own hands if you want to be a performer, because otherwise I think it's really tough for the guy who's 25 who suddenly decides he's going to be an actor and that's the only thing that he's going to do. That's tough, dude.
Yeah. Just makes me think about Harry Potter and how he's locked underneath the staircase of his resentful, hateful step-parents' home and he got discovered. That's not going to happen to you. So
what do you mean? To get discovered? I mean, he's the greatest.
Like Hagrid's just like, he knows where to go. Harry. Like, you can't be in your bedroom underneath your parents' staircase and expect,
exactly,
Hagrid to come and save you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, to all you actors out there proving me wrong, congratulations. Keep hustling. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
You're better than me.
Yeah. If any of you are actors, I'll tell you, yesterday I went to the park with a baseball and a jar of jelly, and it was packed. There were so many kids, there were so many runners, there were baseball players, and I was filming a video, and I was screaming, and I looked like a maniac, but you got to do what you got to do.
I respect it.
I was filming this video where like a little league kid gets killed and by a pitch.
Very nice.
And I bought this baseball that was way overpriced, but there's nothing I could do about it. There was a sports store right down the street.
Were you intending to return it, or you were going to jelly it out?
I was jellying it out, but there were so many kids at the park. The premise of the video is me talking to the little leaguer saying, throw a meatball, this kid's not going to hit it. And then the kid hits it so hard that it crushes the kid in the face.
Oh, yeah.
And then the video where the baseball would be a prop would be the POV of the kid who's like seriously hurt, me pulling the baseball out of his head with jelly on it. And I thought that was funny. And there were too many children around where I'm like screaming or like I need to scream, call an ambulance. Like find his mom. There was a little boy during the take that I ended up using and I posted. There was a little like 3-year-old, maybe 5 tops, and he was there at that point and he was just watching me. I didn't know where his parents were, so I just didn't acknowledge him. Because if I acknowledge him, then
hey, want some jelly, little guy?
It was the optics were so terrible, so I had to like ignore that he existed. So if you're an actor, it's tough, but you just got to do it. And then it was so jellied up I couldn't return it. I thought about it. I wiped it down with some dude wipes. But the lady was too intimidating. She would have known.
Well, dude, but you make a good point. I mean, by doing anything that makes you stand out in today's world, like you start to get those traditional opportunities. So in theory, if you're ripping your TikTok hard enough, they'll be like, oh, what about this guy? He makes funny, whatever.
There's videos of people dying.
No, but it's true. Like suddenly you stand out against the pack. It's not about, you know what I mean? It's like, if your reputation precedes you, you have an advantage. So
yeah,
despite the kid murdering.
Yeah.
Is that one ripping?
No, but it's my favorite though. I added it to like the top of my portfolio. I don't care. I love that one. I thought Victoria was like, "What are you doing today?" Victoria's like, "I got 3 business meetings today," and I'm like grabbing the jelly from the fridge, putting it in a mason jar in a Ziploc bag. I'm like putting my tripod that's too big for my backpack on the side of like the water bottle holder, and she's like, "Where are you going?"
Like I'm staging a murder of a child.
So I'm doing a video where this little leaguer gets hit in the head and like there's blood and I got to go buy a baseball. So I'll see you later. And it's a good yin yang.
Nice, dude.
But yeah, if you guys have seen Kill Tony, I think I've mentioned it a couple times. They do a bucket pull. A panel of judges do a bucket pull and somebody does a minute of comedy on stage. And then they do an interview afterwards. In New York, in Brooklyn at Flophouse Comedy Club, they have this show called Comedy Lottery. And it's very similar, except you do 3 minutes. And it's less hostile. Kill Tony, if you suck, they'll be savages. They'll eat like piranhas and the crowd will hate you. And I've met a few people that have done Kill Tony and like they said that it fucked them up. They had to go to therapy and everything. Just like if you have a bad set, you have a bad set on in front of millions of people and maybe your idols. Like if Fahim was there and I had a bad set, that would be tough.
Does he do the panel? He probably
No,
does.
I don't think so, but he's been on Joe.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to much of his interviews. I just watch his bits. But I went and did this show. And the woman that went up right before me, she was Asian. And her English was pretty broken. So when it got to the end of her set and they were asking her, where are you from? It was pretty safe to assume that she wasn't from America.
Right.
And she said, I'm from Queens. And every time she answered a question, she just didn't answer it and kind of rambled. And on Kill Tony, that's like the one thing you should not do. That's like the one thing that'll get you kicked off the stage right away. Just like taking your time to say inaccurate things, just wasting everyone's time. That's what this person was doing. And so the panel were 3 white guys and then one half black, one half black, half Middle Eastern was one guy. And she just started getting racist towards him and talking about how her mom doesn't like black people and how her mom wouldn't let her have sex with black people. Oh my God. And she kept pointing to the Middle Eastern and black guy and kept calling him Indian because his skin is kind of in the middle. Jesus. And he was being very gracious. He's like, hey, let's cut that out. And she just kept going. And she's like, you're racist. Like, you should be sitting there with the other black people. And just like really, like it was blatant racism. And it was like, comedy, if you find a way, anything can be funny. Like, but this person, she just got angry.
Just cringe.
And it was very cringe. And there was a ton of black people in the audience and it just killed the whole vibe. And then there was a ton of back and forth. And
she was trying to be funny, or was she actually just mad?
She was trying to be funny until people were saying like, shut up, like get off the stage and things like that. And then this gay guy in the audience called her out. And so then she screamed at him. She's like, shut up, you're gay. You're all fucking gay. I'm out of here. Fuck all of you. I'm not racist. You're racist, gay boy. And like all these terrible things.
Jesus.
And then I went up right afterwards.
Jeez.
Which is usually like, that's a good or a bad thing. I was really glad that I got to go after her.
Did you like,
'cause it was really
make fun of
tense.
her?
So she said, like her big thing, like her big dying hill was that her mom said she can't fuck black people. So when I went up, I was just like, my mom said I can fuck black people and white people.
Killed.
And so like that was great and fun. And it was fun. Yeah, that's a good show. But that was one of those crazy moments that I'm sure you've seen a handful of those in your day.
But yeah, it just sounds like a bad new comic being bad, and then you being able to leverage it to be funny.
I was so grateful that I got to go up next.
Yeah,
but
nice.
It was cool. It was cool. It was fun.
It's fun.
She's not cool.
Love a new experience. Lynch out here fucking getting it done. And hopefully that girl will go back to the drawing board because whatever she's doing ain't working. Guys, this weekend I am at Hilarities in Cleveland. 4 shows, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday. I'm super stoked about that. You can get tickets on my website, notjulio.com. Going to hit a bunch of the local national parks because I've never been to Cleveland before, so I'm looking forward to having a big weekend. Then I'm going to be in St. Pete, Florida, my home away from home, 20th and 21st at Coastal Creative. The 13th at the Funny Bone in Columbus. And then the 26th of October, I'm going to be in Seattle, hereafter at the Crocodile. I'm planning to hit Olympic National Park hard after, if you have any recommendations. And Brent is coming with me.
Wow.
So if you feel like meeting Brent in the flesh, come to that show. He's going to be like, standard.
Hopefully Aaron Rodgers doesn't tear his ACL again.
Hopefully Aaron Rodgers does not tear his ACL again.
Poor Brent.
So there's that. Lynch, what's going on with you?
Ryan is really polite. I have some shows coming up, but I don't have the dates yet, so I will post that on my Instagram. So please check me out at Ryan is really polite, and send us your emails at oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. And what should we ask them to comment?
Well, notjulio.com for tickets, by the way, and click the link in my bio if you want to add your city to my mailing list, so I can just let you know when I'm in town. I won't email you unless I'm literally coming to town, or if I drop a brand new travel video, which I don't do often, so you don't have to worry about getting spammed. In the comments, why don't you tell us something that Hannah Dickinson should do to improve her love life? She's out here looking for love. And if you want to maybe put your hat in the ring, go for it. We can try to finesse that for you. So
love you.
Love you. Bye.